I'm just saying, I think the book does a better job of covering the socioeconomic realities of consuming chocolate.
Welcome to Adaptable, the show that debates whether books or movies are better. I'm Paige.
I'm Emily, and today we're covering Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and whether or not the book
Or the movie
is better. Before we get down to brass tacks, let's cover the plot.
Warning, this episode will not be spoiler-free.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory follows a young Charlie Bucket, a boy from a poor family who lives in a British village famous for its chocolate factory, run by the mysterious Willy Wonka.
Willy Wonka is known throughout the world as the best chocolatier that ever lived, and no one ever came in or out of his factory, so his secrets remained safe.
The plot proper kicks off when Willy Wonka announces he has hidden 5 golden tickets inside his candy bars, and whoever finds the candy bars gets a tour of his factory and a lifetime supply of chocolate. Charlie is one of the people to find the 5 tickets along with 4 other children.
Once inside the factory, the children visit different rooms and see marvelous wonders beyond their imagination. However, as they continue to go from room to room, mysterious misfortunes befall 4 of the children, leaving only Charlie at the end.
At that point, Willy Wonka reveals that the entire golden ticket setup has been so he can find a successor to his chocolate factory. The book ends with Charlie and his family inheriting the chocolate factory. Since the novel famously came first, I'll start. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the novel, is better than the movie, and here's why. First of all, the writing in the novel far exceeds anything the movie can offer. Roald Dahl is a wizard when it comes to words. Just look at the names of the characters: Willy Wonka, Charlie Bucket, Augustus Gloop, and the words just get crazier from there. You see the original writing on the golden ticket, and it offers to ensnare, entice, baffle people with the wonders they will see. The way he describes the candy, like the scrumdiddlyumptious bars, the movie's dialogue really just can't do justice to Roald Dahl's description, and honestly a big part of his style is its sheer verboseness, the fact that he never uses one word when 5 will do. Films need to cut that down, ends up cutting out a lot of what makes the book so fantastic. Next, what's a story without a main character? Charlie Bucket is so much more interesting in the books. In the movies, he's mostly just a bright-eyed lambkin walking from one room to another, never doing anything too terrible. Charlie Bucket in the books is given a lot more heart and a lot more to work with. Almost half of the novel is done before we even get to the factory because we spent all of that time getting to know Charlie and his family. He's established as a kid who's good, who's trying his best, but isn't perfect. We hear a lot more about Charlie's poverty. The reason Charlie loves chocolate so much is it's the only good thing he's really allowed in his life, the only luxury, and he's only allowed it on his birthday when he gets one small candy bar. It just makes for a lot stronger emotional connection to the candy beyond, oh wow, chocolate. Charlie is someone who cares as much about candy as Willy Wonka does because he knows what it's like to be without it. It just makes for a lot more satisfying character arc. Finally, tone. Oh my goodness, tone. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the novel, has a consistent one. It's constantly poking fun at itself. It's both silly and occasionally a little somber, but always sticks well within that kind of the fairy tale sensibilities that never makes it too dark, while also allowing the real world to be a part of it in the form of Charlie's poverty. So kids get to embrace some of the spirit of the book as escapism from real world trouble. The movie is creepy as hell. It has a scene where a chicken gets beheaded. That is not in the original books. The books have occasionally spookier, thrilling parts, but they're much more in the spirit of a theme park ride than any of the terrifying nightmare fuel in the movies. Also, one of the plot points in which the novels and the movie differ is that Willy Wonka sets up an elaborate ruse to test the children to see if they're honest and good people. That does not exist in the book, and honestly it makes Willy Wonka a much darker and more manipulative character. It's kind of hard to watch someone who has an enormous amount of wealth and resources test a child who grew up in poverty about whether or not he's good enough to be able to support his family with a chocolate factory. In the novels, Willy Wonka is a much more free-spirited, kind person who's honestly just offering this opportunity because he wants to connect with one of the children and offer them the chance to run a chocolate factory, built on a mutual love of chocolate, not on their ability to pass his weird ruse and deception. The overall tone of the novel is just a lot more heartwarming.
I think your overall tone is annoying. Thank you. Reason number 1 that the movie is better than the book. The movie brings a whole other aspect to the story that the book simply cannot compete with. It has music in it. Willy Wonka sings Pure Imagination, one of the most amazing parts as the whole story comes alive and you start to see everything spread before you in his factory. Music brings life to everything, and this movie is no exception. Also, the Oompa Loompa songs, while they appear rather dead or dry on a page, suddenly spring to life with the music and the visual of them singing it. It's something that gets stuck in your head and really brings the story into a whole level of richness and depth, in a way the book just cannot compete with. Number 2. Normally, I'm a fan of a book and imagining everything for myself, but the visuals in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory are so spectacular, I actually prefer seeing it on screen. The bright colors, the explosion of fantastical creations that appear on screen as you walk into the valley with the waterfall, they're just amazing. Also, while debatably more intense than the book, seeing the yacht, the pink candy yacht, go down into the tunnel and having Willy Wonka sing and have those visuals show that this is not just some light and fluffy place. It brings a certain level of reality and intensity to the movie that the book lacks. Number 3, the plot. The plot of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory adds another level of complexity and depth to what is a very simple story in the book. It adds on deeper messages about honesty and integrity that really bring a level of richness and depth to Charlie's character. In the movie, it is not simply that Charlie did not break any rules and so by luck of the draw ended up with the factory. Instead, he has a moral challenge to him. Does he share the gobstopper that Willy Wonka gives him and gain a significant amount of money, or does he keep his integrity and honesty? In the end, Charlie chooses to do the second and then gains the factory. So the plot is enriched through the movie, where Charlie turns from a simply rule-following child into someone who makes his own choices, makes mistakes, and learns from them.
If you think the movie is better, you're living in a world of pure imagination. The novel, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, is so much stronger because it deals in issues larger than just Charlie. We see Charlie's poverty as opposed to the rich kids. The book spends almost half of its time on this, so we know that Charlie is coming from rough circumstances and we're able to sympathize with that. It's a lot bigger issue to address with kids than just whether or not Charlie is going to follow the rules like the movie adds in. It cuts out the actual complexity of Charlie's surroundings to squeeze in some tight little moral about Charlie learning from his own mistakes. Which isn't bad, it's just simple and been done by 100 other stories.
While it is definitely true the book deals more in poverty, I would argue that the character of Charlie and the character of the other children is more clearly developed in the movie. And this makes it a better choice.
But we're not given Charlie's backstory. We don't know
We
why
are given his backstory.
In the barest form. We're actually dive into it in the book, so we don't know why Charlie is the way he is in the movies. We sympathize with Charlie because we know where he's coming from. We know just how much the chocolate factory means to him because we've watched him struggle and see all the other kids get candy and know that chocolate is the one good thing in Charlie's life. It means so much more emotionally to see him inherit the chocolate factory at the end of it because we have seen how far he and his family have come.
But I would argue the movie does show that. If anything, better because you have the visuals. You have the visuals of him with his family crowding around him, opening that corner of that chocolate bar on his birthday. You see the difference between the way he dresses. It's maybe not spelled out as clearly because we're using visuals and not just words, but it's definitely there. On top of that, they add a level of complexity and morality. I don't think we lose what you're arguing, I think we merely have that and then have a layer above it.
But we get Charlie's internal thoughts. We have a line where Charlie realizes he is starving and realizes he has to start conserving his energy. He gives himself 10 more minutes to go to school because he doesn't want to exhaust himself running. While everyone else is studying in school, he tries to do his lessons as carefully as possible and doesn't go out to recess because he doesn't want to exert himself too much and end up hungrier and more tired than he already is. It's actually a really good elaboration of what children who face poverty have to go through every day in order to even survive in their lives. The novel just deals in larger issues than the movie.
I take your point on poverty. It definitely does get a more in-depth look because you can see into his head. However, I would still say the movie is better because of the visuals, because you can see so much more of the story and of the joy he does get to experience. You see the poverty at the beginning, maybe not as in-depth, but you see it. But then when you enter into that world of imagination, you can see Charlie's joy and his wonder, where there are giant candies, there's a river of chocolate, just the extravagance and the extreme difference between his poverty and the wealth of Willy Wonka's factory comes to life in the visuals of the movie in a way the book just can't compete with.
The words offer their own kind of visual fun though, and they're kind of like a literary candy.
But you get the literary candy in the movie as well. Think about the snozberries on the wallpaper he licks.
Oh, I do like the snozberries.
It's definitely still there with the added visual of adults licking a wall.
I do like watching adults lick holes.
It's good. Which gets to the heart of the story, escapism. This isn't supposed to be a reality. This is supposed to be a way for children to jump into a wonder of music and candy and chocolate, visuals that they are never gonna find in real life.
But reading does create your own wonderful world inside your head.
It does, but in the case of this book, the movie does a much better job with it.
Okay, you're maybe like that much right.
A chocolate waterfall, right?
Like that much right.
Chocolate waterfall.
That much.
Chocolate waterfall. Thank you for watching.
This has been Adaptable.
Joyous, boyish.
What's a snozberry?
This would be where you banter.
Yeah, I know.